This is CBC Vancouver News.
You know, we estimate 10 to 14 days once we get the go-ahead, but there are some things that we can do in advance.
There's still no word on when thousands of Fort Nelson evacuees will get the go-ahead to return home to their communities, but the region's mayor says recovery plans are already underway. And
many businesses, bare minimum, when you kind of compile it all together, it's about $500,000 a week.
Gastown businesses say ongoing construction is costing them millions in sales and is tarnishing the historic neighborhood's reputation. Plus,
we're headed to a 7th on Monday night.
A disappointing loss for the Vancouver Canucks in Game 6 of the playoff series, falling 5-1 to the Edmonton Oilers. Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. Nearly 4,700 people from Fort Nelson and the nearby First Nation are waiting to find out when they can return home after the Parker Lake wildfire forced them to leave their communities about a week ago. In a video posted to social media this morning, the mayor of the Northern Rockies Regional District says it's still too early to say when the evacuation orders could lift, but work has already begun on recovery plans.
You know, we estimate 10 to 14 days once we get the go-ahead, but there are some things that we can do in advance. And so we're identifying what those are, like talking to all the agencies that need to get out there or need to get back into the community to bring it back up. So I'm really hoping we'll be able to knock it down from 10 to 14 days to maybe 7 to 10 days.
Fraser says the Parker Lake wildfire is still threatening the community along the Alaska Highway. BC's emergency preparedness minister confirmed on Friday some structures had been damaged in the early days of the fire. Additional RCMP members and power generators are also being sent to the area as the community heads into week 2 of evacuations. Meanwhile, the Doig First Nation hosted a dinner for wildfire evacuees last night in Fort St. John, aimed at creating a sense of community and togetherness.
That's just what we do. When somebody's in need, we pull together and just make it happen and, figure out how to do it afterwards.
According to the First Nation, the event was initially planned for 200 guests. However, that number grew to almost 1,500 people. Local caterers and restaurants supplied food. After the meal, ceremonial drummers performed on stage at Centennial Park. Mayor Rob Fraser was also there, providing Fort Nelson residents with an update about what's next for evacuees. There are 3 active wildfires in northeastern BC. The Doig First Nation remains on evacuation order as well. And in Alberta, some good news for residents of Fort McMurray. Recent rainfall has dampened the nearby wildfire activity, reducing immediate danger for residents. As Sam Sansom reports, the more than 6,000 people who were ordered out of their homes have now been told they can return.
This is one of the 4 neighborhoods in Fort McMurray now welcoming back residents. More than 6,600 people were ordered to leave their homes earlier this week due to a wildfire burning nearby. But as of Saturday morning, they can come back. And it only took us minutes to see cars start returning.
The timing was just perfect because we were just coming back to town to try and take a shower and maybe get some clean clothes. So yeah, we're excited to get back into our homes now, and the pets can be in their own spaces and not in a little camper.
Back in 2016, it was a whole different. They were too late in ordering the evacuation. This time around, they ordered it a little earlier as a precaution, which is good. They were on top of things, and I know some people were probably disappointed and upset, but it's better to be safe than sorry, and it's nice to come back and find everything just perfect.
I just pulled in. I was like, I need 3 more days worth of cat litter, so I was like, hopefully they'll just let me run in and get some stuff. And he was like, no, go ahead and move in. I was like, okay.
The news came as a bit of a surprise to some people, since officials initially said evacuees should be prepared to stay out of their homes until after the May-long weekend. But all this rain has helped firefighters get a bit more of a handle on the situation.
The last thing we want is for people to come back and then have to leave again. That's very stressful. So that's why we gave people the warning that they might be out until Tuesday, but we're very happy that we've made some good progress.
The fire, however, is still out of control.
While it is safe for evacuees to return, residents will have to live with an active wildfire near their community for weeks, if not months. Once sunshine and warm temperatures return, fire behavior will likely increase.
The firefighters brought in to help aren't just packing up and leaving. They will stay here until that fire is considered under control. And there's also a fire ban in effect for the Fort McMurray region, as well as much of northern Alberta. Because as much as this rain and the cool weather has helped firefighting efforts, the province wants to make sure no new fires start this May long weekend. Sam Sampson, CBC News, Fort McMurray, Alberta.
The Edmonton Oilers averted elimination tonight with a dominant 5-1 victory over the Vancouver Canucks in Game 6 of their best-of-7 second-round playoff series.
Headed to a seventh on Monday night.
Niels Höglander scored and goalie Arturs Shilovs stopped 22 shots for the Canucks. Neither team has won consecutive games in the series, with the Oilers winning the even-numbered clashes. Canucks captain Quinn Hughes says Game 7 is a great opportunity.
It's a great opportunity. If you told us, we'd have this opportunity in September, we would have took it, and probably would have taken it, 4 weeks ago as well. So, yeah, we'll be excited.
Game 7 will be in Vancouver on Monday, with the winner advancing to the conference final to face off against the Dallas Stars. For many, May long weekend is the unofficial start of summer, and that means road trips for some. But before you get behind the wheel, ICBC and police are warning drivers about the dangers on the road. According to ICBC, over the course of Victoria Day long weekend, on average, 3 people are killed and about 450 people are injured in crashes in the province. ICBC says speeding and distracted driving are some of the top contributing factors in these crashes, and is reminding drivers to slow down and allow for extra travel time. BC Highway Patrol says an increased number of patrol officers will be out over the weekend on the lookout for those breaking the law or driving dangerously. London Drugs has revealed some employee information was compromised in a cyber attack last month. The breach forced the retailer to close all of its stores in Western Canada for more than a week. And while London Drugs initially said no customer data was compromised, it now says certain corporate files containing employee personal information may have been hacked. The company says it is offering all of its employees credit monitoring services as well as identity theft protection. The company's president has not said much about the exact nature of the cyber attack. Businesses in Vancouver's Gastown say ongoing construction in the heart of the neighborhood has had a devastating impact on sales, costing some millions of dollars in lost revenue. And as Michelle Gomez reports, business owners are cautiously optimistic about whether or not this summer's car-free pilot project will help.
In Gastown's Maple Tree Square, crews are working to repair loose bricks and asphalt patches.
People think Gastown is closed. Gastown isn't closed. We're a vibrant community.
Kim Briscoe owns a shop in the square. She says business has gone down by 25% since construction began in March.
The city has decided to make some decisions that we're not all in agreement with.
And less business means less hours for staff.
I'm a sole provider for my family. And so some of the staff members here, and everyone's had a reduction in hours. So there's a trickle effect that happens with that.
The local association says businesses have reported losing between 20 and 50% of revenue, totaling millions of dollars lost since the construction began.
It's really been devastating for some. We estimate that at this point, many businesses, bare minimum, when you kind of compile it all together, it's about $500,000 a week. So we're estimating about $5 million over the course of the 10 weeks of this construction.
A former city planner says Vancouver could do more to offset the cost to businesses.
The best way to mitigate that temporary impact is for both the city and the businesses to be smart and creative about not just making sure the stores are still open. That's easy. But how do you still make it a magnet?
In a statement, the city says it has added signage to mitigate the impacts of construction, which is slated to end mid-June. Shortly after, the Gastown Car-Free project will see Water Street become a pedestrian-only zone. Businesses are cautiously optimistic.
The way we're going to measure that success is if we have bottom lines increasing in the neighborhood, and if not, then that project will be failed, and we will ask the city to shut it down.
The city says it's waiving fees for businesses to add or expand patios and merchandise displays in the pedestrian area, and is providing funding to offer free parking in Gastown. Michelle Gomez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, it's a sure sign summer is coming. Today, the gates at Playland open for the 2024 season.
We are looking at some exciting experience that we've got. So check our calendar, June 15th, Playland Eras, where we celebrate everyone's favorite, Taylor Swift. We've also got a summer solstice night. We're expanding our hours to celebrate the longest days of the year, and we're bringing back a favorite, 19+ adults only night.
There will also be some new attractions at the amusement park this year, including the Thunderbolt roller coaster, which organizers say is the fastest of its kind in North America. But the new electromagnetic coaster won't be ready for riders until at least July. Playland is open now until August 16th. And in Surrey, a longtime family tradition returns this weekend. Despite the rain earlier today, hundreds of people were checking out the 76th annual Cloverdale Rodeo and Country Fair.
Where are the Canadians today?
This year's fair will have rodeo performances, live entertainment, midway rides, an Indigenous village, and an artisans market. For anyone heading to the area, expect delays on the roads due to closures and heavy traffic. Staying in Surrey, an international robotics competition is taking place this weekend at the SFU campus. As Sohrab Sandhu reports, it's the first time Canada has hosted the FIRA Robo World Cup competition.
Jayden Mitani, Yara Riahi and Alexander Jando are getting set to showcase a robo-car they designed as a team in just 3 weeks.
Instead of taking remote control inputs, it takes control inputs from this computer here based on images from this camera. And then our AI deep learning model, it'll track these lanes and decide how to turn based on that.
The teams are competing at the FIRA Robo World Cup, an international robotics tournament being held at SFU campus in Surrey this weekend.
I'm really interested in RC cars and cars in general, right? And something I'm also interested in is machine learning. And so when I found this competition, it was like the perfect, mix of the both.
Another group from BC Team Kevosh has been working on their invention for months, a robot that detects color patterns on its path and acts according to commands attached to them.
So for example, blue, it is for pushing the obstacle, and in the second color tile, it is for telling you how many times you're going.
The competition has a variety of different categories, like autonomous flying in urban and disaster scenarios, and complex challenges in industrial rescue and service robot settings. Jando says it's inspiring to be surrounded by like-minded innovators.
Everyone here is doing an amazing job, and it's really awesome to see the level of expertise here.
Teams from around the world, including Iran, Turkey, and Germany, are here competing. And for those who could not make it in person, there's an online component. Organizers say the two-day tournament gives young people a chance to explore their love of robotics.
We want to help a young generation to have expand the creativity and problem solving, and then they're stepping in the high technology, and they are learning how they can use a technology with a good purpose.
Early, you plant a seed, the bigger the tree will grow.
The top 3 teams from this weekend's event will go to represent Canada at the World Robotics and Artificial Intelligence competition taking place in Brazil this August. Sohrab Sandhu, CBC News, Surrey.
Today, the Vancouver Park Board opened 2 of its outdoor pools for the season. The new Brighton and Second Beach pools are now open. Visitors can book sessions 3 days in advance online. The Park Board says Kitsilano Pool will not be reopening this May-long weekend as too much rain in the spring delayed repairs on the pool. 8 Vancouver swimming beaches have also been staffed with lifeguards. Hundreds of people celebrated the birth of the Sikh faith today at the Vaisakhi Parade in Prince George. Sikh community members sang hymns as they walked from the temple to the CN Centre and back. The annual Vaisakhi Parade is one of the largest cultural celebrations in northern BC. With every Canadian on the hook for $850 of the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion, how will taxpayers get their money back? That's next. Stay with us. Canadians are on the hook for more than $34 billion for the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion project after the federal government was forced to step in and buy it in 2018. The CBC's Lindsay Duncombe breaks down why the project went over budget and how taxpayers can get their money back.
There it is, right across the water. That is the end of the TMX pipeline. It is overdue and more than 4 times over budget. Canadians own that pipeline, and the price tag is way more than anyone expected. The government's plan is to sell the pipeline and make that money back. But I wanted to know, is that even possible? And why is the project so expensive in the first place? Here's what we know.
It was supposed to cost $7.3 billion to expand the pipeline. The latest estimate is $34 billion. We did the math, and essentially each and every Canadian is on the hook for at least $850 to build the thing. To put it in perspective, $34 billion could pay for 15 hospitals like the one being built in downtown Vancouver right now. It's triple the cost of the current GO train expansion in southern Ontario. Here's the backstory. In 2012, a private company, Kinder Morgan, had a plan to build a new pipeline beside its existing Trans Mountain route, tripling capacity, getting more Alberta oil from the port in Burnaby to new markets. Opposition was intense.
This is really an investment in the past. The oil industry is a sunset industry.
It just makes no sense.
There is no consent for this pipeline.
Politicians were divided, and it kept ending up in court. So in 2018, the private company bailed, and the feds stepped in and bought the pipeline. The plan was to build it, then sell it.
Prime Minister, how risky is your pipeline plan for taxpayers and the environment?
Is the government going to buy the pipeline?
That pipeline built. It's an agreement that we believe will deliver a real return on investment for the benefit of British Columbians, Albertans, and all Canadians.
Yeah, about that return on investment. Bit tough now, considering how much building the pipeline cost.
Yeah, I mean, it's jarring, right?
Ryan Bushell is a portfolio manager investing in Canadian energy.
It makes me wonder if private industry was allowed to complete this project. I doubt that the cost overruns to this extent would have been acceptable to shareholders, and so as taxpayers, we should be sort of similarly questioning how this has gone.
So why did this project cost so much? The reasons are laid out in a recent report from TMX. Blame the pandemic, floods, paying contractors, accommodating Indigenous communities, and birds' nests were a problem too.
You see, anti-pipeline activists like Sarah Ross went looking for birds' nests in the path of the pipeline. And when they found them, construction was delayed, increasing costs. We caught up with her last year.
I think what they didn't know about is the real depth of the opposition to the project. So that people are looking for bird nests, which are like this big. They're 4 centimeters in diameter, and we found them because this project is not in our common interest, we believe.
It wasn't just birds' nests. On its website, TMX says it moved more than 100 anthills, almost 150,000 amphibians, thousands of fish and snails. Price tag, $50 million. This is Mark Mackey. He's in charge of TMX finances. At this oil conference in Houston, we asked him about all those construction costs.
We've talked about, and the government has talked about, the economic impact of the project. It will be positive. Yes, it is expensive. To do the project right, that's what it costs to build infrastructure.
How's that playing in the oil patch?
The pendulum has gone too far in terms of what we're willing to do. I mean, in the TMX, there were discussions that they were moving anthills.
That's Jackie Forrest. She's based in Calgary and researches Canadian energy trends.
We have to build these projects in a way that we can compete on a global scale. And we need to protect the environment, but we also need to make it such that this is a place where investors can make an economic return on their investments.
Now, there are two main ways Canadians can get their money back. One, make cash by moving oil, and two, sell the pipeline.
Several oil companies have signed long-term contracts to pay tolls to use the pipeline. Because of all the mounting construction costs, TMX raised the price. Right now, it's about $11 a barrel. The finance minister is already counting that cash.
And last week, the Bank of Canada estimated that this project alone will add 1/4 percentage point to Canada's GDP.
Bushell says how much cash the pipeline makes will be key to selling it.
The tolling obviously is the key to the economics, basically how much money is going to be made off this project, how many barrels of oil are going to be shipped, and what is the toll going to be on each one of those barrels determines how much somebody's willing to pay for it.
But remember those $11 tolls? The companies say that's too much. It's all going to a hearing at the energy regulator in September at the earliest. As for who might buy the pipeline, the government wants to make sure there are Indigenous investors involved in the sale. But it's not clear how that will all play out.
I do anticipate there will be buyers. I'm not sure that they'll be willing to pay the full cost of construction, but I think there will be buyers for sure for this asset.
Bottom line, the pipeline will likely make cash, someone will probably buy it, but pretty much no one expects Canadians to break even. And investors say that's a problem.
Canada is a difficult place to build these mega projects, and a big part of that is our whole review process and how it's unpredictable what the ultimate costs will be.
And we actually don't have the final bill for the pipeline. That's because much of the money used to build it is borrowed. You think interest rates have made your mortgage more expensive? Imagine having a mortgage on a $34 billion pipeline. Well, all of us Canadian taxpayers do.
Here we have a live shot of the Georgia Viaduct in BC Place. I'll have your long weekend forecast next.
I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
With the changes to how Canada is able to access journalism online and on social media, we want to assure you that when you're looking for CBC News, you'll always be able to find us. Local news, breaking stories, and the latest from around the world is at your fingertips any time of the day with the free CBC News app and online at cbcnews.ca. For news you can trust, download the CBC News app and stay connected wherever you are.
Well, it was a bit of a weird weather day for some in the Lower Mainland with a mixture of sun and rain on and off throughout the day. Let's take a look now at what's in store for the rest of the long weekend here in Metro Vancouver. Let's begin with tomorrow. We're going to see some scattered showers tomorrow and a high of 16. That's going to clear right up with a mixture of sun and clouds and a high of 16 for Monday. That rain is going to return on Tuesday with a high of 13, and it's going to turn more into scattered showers for Wednesday with a high of 16. It looks like that rain is going to stick around for the rest of the week. An extraordinary sight in the skies over Vancouver Island today as powerful jets roared, swooped, and thrilled crowds at the Comox Air Show. This year's show was packed with fields full of people wanting to experience the unique event. But one man isn't just looking up. He's focused on a single aircraft and meeting the crew who saved his life.
My name's Captain Wes Mitchell. I was involved in an aircraft accident in Gold River last year on July 28th, and these guys saved my life. I had some kind of a control issue with the airplane, and I couldn't stop it turning, and it just went into the trees, and I said, "Oh, this is where I die." But I didn't.
The Comox Air Show returned to the skies for the first time in 9 years. That is your late news for Saturday, May 18th. Thank you so much for watching. For news at any hour, you can always head to our website at cbc.ca/bc. We'll see you tomorrow.